We choose to be a victim or we choose to be a victor. If you are not prepared for that, go elsewhere.
How you almost was removed from the SEAL team.
I thought about killing myself. That's how bad it got. I was like, man, like, is that my future? They painted this picture of me as a victim, as like someday I would just be a drunk living in a VFW and not able to function in society, and I'd never be successful again.
Jason Redman, a Navy SEAL lieutenant, emerged as a beacon of valor and resilience amidst the unforgiving battlegrounds of Iraq.
Confronted by a relentless storm of enemy fire, he sustained grievous wounds, yet his resolve remained unshaken.
Decorated with the Bronze Star Medal with Valor, the Purple Heart, and other commendations, Redman's extraordinary heroism and tenacity in the face of near-certain death stand as a testament to the indomitable spirit of a true American warrior.
If you are making any decision for yourself, if you decide what clothes you're going to wear for that day, you are a leader. You are leading yourself. If you decide what you're going to watch on TV, you are a leader. You are making decisions for yourself.
I'm not afraid to ask 1,000 times. I'm not afraid to fail 2,000 times because I know that one day I will succeed.
Everybody has superpowers, and the only way you're going to find yours is by getting out and trying stuff.
The Avenue of the Strongest is a podcast dedicated to exploring the lives and experiences of the most inspiring individuals from around the world. Each episode features interviews with fascinating guests who share their insights and wisdom on a variety of topics, including education, impact, motivation, health, and learning. Here are your hosts, Anayet Chowdhury and Vlad Suleiman.
This podcast is sponsored by ArgoPrep, an award-winning edtech company serving over 1 million students nationwide. We understand that as parents, you want to ensure that your child receives the best education possible. Say hello to ArgoPrep. With over 15 plus educational awards earned in just the past year, ArgoPrep's platform offers your child video lessons, quizzes, drills, printable worksheets, and more. Best of all, your ArgoPrep subscription comes included with 4 comprehensive digital workbooks that cover all 4 subjects: math, ELA, science, and social studies. Visit argoprep.com today and start your free trial. Jason, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Anayet, Vlad, thank you for having me.
Thank you. I want to first go ahead and get started because I love the shirts that you wear in some of your interviews. You're not wearing it today, but the one that I really love is "No Bad Days."
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? So I'll finish the sentence. "No bad days, only good and great days." I'd love to learn more about that. Oh, there you go. The mug. Wow.
Yeah, so no bad days is a concept, and it's a way to live your life. I mean, everybody gets caught up in the minutia. We live in a world that is driven 1,000,000 miles an hour. We're constantly inundated with pings and chirps and tweets, and I think it gives you a skewed sense of reality. A lot of, we look at all the things that are happening in the world. We're the constant mass shootings. We're at the epidemic levels of depression and mental health. One, this is contributing to a lot of it, but 2, it's also perspective. This gives us poor perspective. The biggest problem we have in a lot of our first world nations right now is we have a perspective problem. People are getting conditioned to instantaneous gratification. So we expect everything to happen instantly. We should be successful instantly. We should get in shape instantly. We should, find a mate instantly and find bliss and happiness instantly. And the reality is the world does not work this way. The real world does not work this way. So I have been all over the world. I have been in some of the poorest and worst and most violent places on the planet. And all of that has given me tremendous perspective. Not only that, I came close to death with my near-death experience being shot on the battlefield in Iraq in 2007. I mean, I was, a hair's breadth from checking out and looking death in the face and recognizing all the things that you think about. I talk to people about if you have the, I almost said if you have the luck to face death and then come back from it, because really, for me, that gave me a second chance. Most people, we only get one shot in this life. And most of us, we have that skewed reality. So frequently I meet people that something goes wrong, and usually it's a minor thing, but they allow it to negatively impact them for hours, weeks, even months of their lives. And, they use that very trite phrase, oh my God, I had a bad day. And most
Yeah.
of the time when we use that phrase, it's merely a schedule disruption. Your day did not unfold in the manner you thought it was going to. And then we allow that to negatively impact our mind. We project that on other people. It negatively impacts our productivity and our ability to drive forward and be successful. Oftentimes, people, when they have these schedule disruptions and bad days, they get out of their normal habits and routines. It becomes an excuse. And I live my life now by the fact that I'm still here, man. I am alive. And I am so grateful to still be alive. And I've lost a lot of teammates over the years. And I just think about the fact that they would give anything to still be here. And if you are still alive, that is a gift. It is a gift. Whatever problem you're facing, if you're still alive, you have the opportunity to work on it, to try and fix it. And no, it may not happen today. It may not happen tomorrow. It may take months. I'll be honest, some huge problems may take years to fix. But as long as you're still breathing the free air, you have the ability. Because once obviously we pass into the afterlife, you can't fix those problems anymore. They are left unresolved as you move into the next phase, into the afterlife. So I tell people, man, we may have hard days, we may have tough days, but if you're still alive, it is a good day. It's up to you to make it a great day. So I live my life with no bad days.
Wow, that is so powerful. That is extremely powerful, especially when especially when you said your team members who have passed away, they would give anything to get their life back. I mean, that really puts things into perspective. Wow. And yeah, I mean, listen, I think the world would be, if we can get more people to understand that there are no bad days, only good days and great days. And you're completely right. Instant gratification has become a problem. We contribute anything now to a bad day, right? You go to get your coffee, and if the coffee order's not right, that's it. All of a sudden, your entire day is ruined. I mean, it's just such small.
Oh my God, they spelled my name wrong on the cup, and we lose our minds.
And,
I mean, you kidding me?
and it's unbreakable cycle. They have the bad day, they pass it to their kids, they pass it to their wife will get the bad day, wife will pass it to somebody else, and somebody just have to break this pattern. Otherwise it's just going to be the cycle, never ending cycle.
I talk about the power of positivity. It has been one of the resilience and positivity both contribute to great leadership. And leaders, if you break leaders down into the most basic level, so Anayat, you were talking about the different shirts, part of my brand. One of our shirts is "Be the Light." Leaders are the light in the darkness. Let me rephrase this: good leaders, because there are bad leaders who are not. There are bad leaders who will just leave a path of destruction. They may get some things done. I call these people leadership wrecking balls. But good leaders recognize that things are hard, that people have problems, that this life is we're inundated with all kinds of information and division and all these things. And good leaders want to motivate and encourage and set the example. They are the light. People look to them and say, wow, I want to be on that person's team. I want to follow that person because they inspire me. They motivate me. They make me want to be better. And that's what good leaders do. So Vlad, you nailed it. When people have that bad day, they go the opposite direction. They start spreading darkness. Well, I'm just going to push negativity on you. I'm going to push darkness on you. But good leaders and people with an overcome mindset, as I talk about, we recognize thinking you're having a bad day and projecting that negativity does nothing to make your situation better. And if anything, you're pulling everybody else down with you. You got to change that mindset and be the light.
Hey there, before we dive back into the episode, I wanted to stop for just a brief moment and express our heartfelt gratitude.
Knowing that you've chosen to spend your time with us, to listen and engage with our content truly warms our hearts.
Every story we share, every topic we discuss is made much more meaningful if you are here with us on this journey.
If you found value in what you've heard so far and you're excited as we are about the episodes to come, we'd be so honored if you'd hit that subscribe button. It not only ensures you stay informed of all of our new content, but it also supports us in continuing to create and share. From all of us here, a sincere thank you.
Now, without further ado, let's get back to the episode.
I'm going to skip a couple of questions here, and I want to go right into your famous bright orange sign at the door, because this is such a great segue since we're talking about this. Can you... So I saw the picture, I saw the words. It's extremely, extremely powerful, something that everyone needs to hear. Can you share us a little bit about that story, why you put up the sign, and now what that sign, what is the purpose? What does that do for other wounded warriors?
So when I was in the hospital, grievously wounded, for anybody that doesn't know, I was shot 8 times between my body armor and body, 3 rounds in the left elbow, which almost took my arm off. Originally, they talked about amputating my arm. I took a round in the face, which did massive damage to my face. Took about 40 surgeries and 4 years to put me back together. But right at the very beginning, in the first week I was in the hospital, I was really struggling with, where do I go from here? How do I deal with this? Anyone who encounters what I call a life ambush, this unexpected, overwhelming, traumatic event in your life. And when I was laying in the hospital, in that hospital bed, I had some people that came into the room, and they started projecting their negativity on me. And this is also a problem in society. That's why I wear this shirt: victor, not victim. We are unfortunately creating a culture of victims. We are convincing people that race, creed, color, gender persuasion, religion, demographic, where you're from, all these different things make you a victim. And if something bad happened to you, then we want to say, well, you don't have the ability to make it on your own. And that's unequivocally not true. There are millions and millions and millions of massively successful people who chose to get out of whatever lane that they were in, that someone else would have said that you can't do this, and they chose to get out of it. So when I was in that hospital, they started saying, oh man, these wounded warriors are so banged up, they're so broken, they're never going to be the same. They're going to be, they painted this picture of me as a victim, as like someday I would just be a drunk living in a VFW and not able to function in society, and I'd never be successful again. And they left. And I remember thinking about that. I was like, man, like, is that my future? The greatest gift you have in this life is you have free will. You have a choice. No one forces you to feel sorry for yourself when bad things happen, no matter how bad it is. You have a choice. I know it is overwhelming when bad things happen to us, but bad things are always going to happen to good people. And if you focus on the fact that, oh, I'm a victim, or this isn't fair, or this happened or that happened, you're right. You're never going to get out of that spot. But we choose to drive forward. In that moment, I said, never again. From this point forward, I am going to be positive. I'm going to lift up the people around me, and no one else allowed to come in this room with sadness or sorrow. And that's when I wrote out that sign. And it said, attention to all who enter here. If you're coming in this room with sadness or sorrow, go elsewhere. The wounds I received, I got in a job that I love, doing it for people that I love, defending the freedom of a country that I deeply love. I will make a full recovery. What is full? That's the absolute utmost physically I have the ability to recover. And I'm going to push that about 20% further through sheer mental tenacity. This room you're about to enter is a room of fun, optimism, and intense rapid regrowth. If you are not prepared for that, go elsewhere. And we signed it, the management, and it took on a life of its own. It went viral. It was all over the news. They now have done documentaries. It's been written about in multiple books. Secretary Robert Gates wrote about it. First Lady Michelle Obama wrote about it not once, but twice in her book. She was so moved, she sent me a handwritten note on the impact of that sign.
Wow.
So I tell people that is the power of choice. That is being a leader. That is being the light in the darkness, despite the hardship that you're going through. But no one forces you to lay there and feel sorry for yourself. We choose to be a victim. or we choose to be a victor.
Wow.
No,
That is
I,
without a doubt powerful. Yeah.
yeah, this is the great transition to my question, actually, which is about the failures. So I think that most of the time when people feel that they are victims, they allow themselves to fail and then just do not continue their journey. So I want to speak about how you almost was removed from the SEAL teams.
That's right. You
And
know, one of
yeah. So I think it's a very important topic to speak about, because I see a lot of kids and a lot of adults which just fail just first time. They try it for the first time. I even see in my kids, they just try once, they fail, and that they don't want to continue. So I want to speak about your experience and how to encourage them to keep doing, keep trying.
Yeah, when I talk about the overcome mindset, an overcome mindset is a mindset of despite adversity, despite setbacks, despite problems, we'll continue to move forward. It doesn't say we're instantly successful. As a matter of fact, you may never be successful in the thing that you're going after, and that's okay. Because oftentimes on the journey, when we're moving down a certain path, sometimes along the path we'll figure out that, wow, maybe I'm not cut out to achieve A, but along the path, through our failures, through our struggles, through building greater strength, mental, emotional, and physical strength, we start to figure out, wow, I may not be great at this thing A, but boy, I am really good at B, and that becomes our new path. So I really encourage people to embrace failure, to lean into it, to get rid of that fear of failure. Um, we live in a hard society because of this. If you fail, we're scared that everybody out there will start writing about, oh man, Aniyat failed, man, he did this and he did that, and we're going to make fun of him and all this. You know what? So what? Most
Exactly.
of the
So what?
time, yeah, most of the time, the people who are saying those things, they were never willing to try it themselves. The vast majority of the time, because I'll be honest, most successful people are either A, too busy, or B, they're rooting for you to be successful. It's usually the people that never try who want to be the haters and who want to talk smack. So, yeah, back to my story. I failed as a young SEAL leader. Um, I became a young leader, and unfortunately, I became very arrogant. I got an ego, and I thought that I knew everything that I needed to know about leadership. And I also thought that, oh, I had all these great successes behind me, and I could, the old saying of resting on your laurels, that I could just continue to be successful based off my prior successes. But leadership is it's always leading. I now teach the principles of leadership, my 3 rules of leadership. 70% of leadership is your ability to lead yourself, setting goals, going after those goals. When you fail, getting back up and driving forward, structure, resilience, positivity. Number 2 is leading others. How do we motivate and inspire other people to be successful? And then number 3, you have to lead always, including in the really hard times when things go wrong. You still have to be a leader. And if you can follow those principles, people naturally want to follow you, and you naturally feel better about yourself driving forward. And it's easier to start to ignore the haters that are out there, because I failed as that young SEAL leader. I made mistakes. I let my ego get in the way. Oftentimes, as young leaders, we have this thought that we have to be perfect at everything, and that is absolutely not true. Leaders are going to be good in some things and they're not going to be good in other. But if you have a great team, no different from a football team, um, a lineman is not going to be a phenomenal receiver. Receivers are lighter and faster. They're able to cut quicker. A lineman is stronger and he's able to protect the quarterback. They both have their own strengths. And both can be leaders, but both obviously have to recognize, well, my strengths are in size and strength and defensive abilities, where the receiver's ability is, I got speed, I have great, hand-eye coordination to catch the ball, I can move quickly to dodge defenders. Life's no different. But you'll never know that if you don't push yourself and figure out, well, I failed at this. I failed being a lineman. but you know what? I'm good at being a receiver, or maybe I'm better at being a kicker, whatever it is. That's the power of failure. And I had to figure that out. I had to grow as a leader, and I almost got myself kicked out of the SEAL teams. And when it occurred, I hit rock bottom. I thought about killing myself. That's how bad it got. And and that's a dangerous thing. Um, when sometimes when we fail, we can get ostracized. We can have people say, "Oh, you failed. You're a terrible person. We don't want you around us anymore." And I felt all that. I felt that from my teammates. And we start to buy into these lies in our head. I did. It's too late. I can't recover from this. I've made too many mistakes. You know, I'm too broken. I'm too immature. I'm too bad a leader. I call it the myth of twos. Everybody in life will buy into this. They'll tell themselves, you know, well, I'll never be successful. I'll never be rich because I'm too poor right now. I'll never be strong because I'm too weak right now. I'll never be an athlete because I'm too out of shape right now. Whatever it is, the myth of twos, it is a lie. It is a lie. And I watch so many people. This is one of the reasons why I feel like we have so much mental health issues in this country, because we bombard people with negative information through this, and we don't encourage them to say, I don't care who you are, you have the ability to be great. You know,
Right.
it may not be great in an area you think you can be great in. You might be able to be great in that area, but oftentimes, like I said, we'll figure out how we're great. And I had to reinvent myself as a leader, and it took 2.5 years, 2.5 years to rebuild myself. Everybody thinks everything's going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
It was a long, hard, very difficult road. But all I did was I focused on putting one step in front of the other. Every leadership evolution I did, I focused on my three rules of leadership: lead yourself, lead others, lead always, and keep your head down. Ignore the haters, because there were definitely guys who made comments, who chirped, "Hey, we don't want you here. You know, you're dangerous. You're going to get somebody killed. You're a bad leader." And slowly over time, I proved that I had the ability to do that. That is the power of failure. Now, when I look back on that, I go, yeah, I failed. I speak about it all over the place. I wrote a book about it. And the great thing is, people relate to it. People go, man, I
Yeah.
felt that too. And that's the same thing in life. Someone is going to be motivated and inspired by your journey to overcome the failures, the setbacks, the hardships, because, man, there are billions of people in the world, and all of them are trying to be the best version of themselves. And guess what? You are setting the example for some of them.
Yeah. You know, the thing
Wow.
is, I mean, people fail to embrace the suck. You know, everybody wants just everything happen in 1 second, as you're saying, and nobody wants to, I mean, work to achieve something. They want everything instant gratification. So this is, I think, one of the most important thing that people fail to understand, to embrace the suck, because there are going to be more failures than successes. You're going to make thousand tries until you achieve that result that you want. So my next question would be about the overcome mindset concept that you teach. So as you already mentioned, there are 6 main key principles: to reframe the mindset, stay positive, develop resilience, take ownership, embrace change, and maintain a sense of purpose. So could you please share which one is the most important according to you?
I think the overcome mindset is born out of uh, discomfort. That's the reality. So I would say out of any of them, you have to get uncomfortable. And what does that mean? Well, that means you have to do things that you may not like. You have to push yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone. I always like to use fitness as an example, because in fitness, whether you want to be a faster runner or you want to be stronger, um, you are going to have to get a little bit uncomfortable. You're going to have to sweat a little bit through the work you're doing. Your muscles are going to have to strain. Your lungs are going to hurt. You're going to have to breathe harder. Your muscles are going to hurt because you're running faster. There's things that you have to do. Life is no different. If you want to build a business, if you want to have better grades, if you want to, there's work that has to be put in, And oftentimes that work is uncomfortable. We would rather be comfortable.
Right.
We'd rather, hey, if I can get by with a C and I can do this
Mhm.
level of work, then oftentimes people are settling for that because it's comfortable, it's easy. But in order to get an A, it takes a lot more work. I've got to study more. Maybe I'm not good in this subject. Maybe I'm not that great in math. So I need a tutor, or I need to find somebody who can help me. I had to do that when I went through college. True story. When I was in the Navy and I got selected for an officer commissioning program, I was not strong in math in high school. So here I am. I'm 26 years old. I'm putting in packages to go to college, and I totally bombed like the math portion. They were like, "Hey, you graded in at a third grade level." Like most of the kids that would ever listen to
Wow.
this would are smarter than me in math. Um, so I really had to study hard. I had to find people to help train me in
Mhm.
math. And all the way through college, I always had tutors and mentors. I would find people who were good in that subject, and I would say, "Hey, man, can I study with you so I can learn?" And I graduated with a super high GPA. I graduated summa cum laude from college, but I had to work
Wow.
very hard at it. And that is what builds an overcome mindset. I tell people an overcome mindset is not a magical button that you push when things go wrong. It's not like, oh, something bad's happened in my life. Suddenly I'm going to overcome. If you don't consistently do some things that are hard, if you don't consistently do things that maybe you don't want to do, you're never going to build an overcome mindset. And when hard things happen, you're going to fold and crumble because you have not built any resilience within yourself. An overcome mindset takes time. And one of the great things, Vlad, you nailed it. One of the great things about failures, if you overcame that failure, if you failed and got back up and went after it again, or at least got back up and went in a different direction, that helps build an overcome mindset tremendously. And failures are coming for all of us. Everybody's going to fail at some point. Everybody's going to have a setback. Everybody's going to have problems. But the more times you have pushed yourself to be uncomfortable, to get out of your comfort zone, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, or spiritually, that's what truly builds it. And I think for anyone out there who is successful, um, I remember a quote, Ray Kroc, who created McDonald's, one time was asked, "Hey, what's the single greatest trait that enabled you to be successful with this company?" And they were like, "Was it leadership? Was it money management? Was it, picking the right market and all this stuff?" And he was like, "No, it was persistence. It was resilience. When we thought we could not do this, when we thought we were going to fail, we kept going." And that is my final component of the overcome mindset. A lot of people will quit when they're right on the verge of success because sometimes it's like climbing a mountain. That last climb to get to the peak sometimes is the hardest. In climbing, they call that the crux of the climb. And oftentimes they're right there, but it gets so hard and they're tired and they're like, "I don't think I can do this anymore." And they're like, "I'm going to quit." When the reality is they
Yeah.
were right on the tipping point of success. And that
Mm.
small push at the end is probably one of the greatest things that enables success. And that is the overcome mindset.
I
Wow.
think this podcast wouldn't exist if we wouldn't overcome our mindset, because at the beginning, I think like 50 guests rejected our invitation, and most of the people I think would just okay, and and after 50, one after another, they start to agreeing to become guests. So am I right? And in any other ventures also, we failed, I don't know how many hundreds and thousands of times. It's
That's the entire journey. I mean, listen, I grew up and we all have a personal story to share. I grew up in poverty. We started ArgoPrep with $60, and we employ now over 50 full-time employees. We're fully bootstrapped. We've never taken any outside money. We failed so many times. I fail every day in my life. I fail every day. It's just that my wins just happen to be slightly a little bit more than my failures. I fail all the time. But we just, we always keep on going, and that's. But again, I'm very fortunate because of my upbringing, because of those difficulties that I had in my personal childhood, I'm not afraid to ask 1,000 times. I'm not afraid to fail 2,000 times because I know that one day I will succeed. And that's, so yeah, I mean, listen, if people can just, not worry about what other people are going to think, online, I think we'd be in a much better place. But Jason, as you were talking, I was looking at your incredible ink work over here, and I saw, yes, was it yesterday or the other day you posted you got some new ink work done? Is that correct?
Yep.
Wow,
I
that looks
Yeah, thanks, man. I mean, it's a tattoo I've thought about for many years. I don't know if you can see my scar. So this is
yeah.
where I had a bullet enter here, and I had a bullet enter in my forearm here. And then it did a lot of damage coming out of the back of my arm. I know it's probably hard. So we're doing it like machinery, although any place where there's visible scars, it's going to be open, and then it'll be a tribute
Okay.
to brothers lost. So I'm a fan. I'm a creative guy. I like writing. I like inspiring people. I like helping the people take action. Um, Tattoos are a form of artwork and creativity. And man, it's pretty amazing when you can go to someone and you can say, hey, here's my idea. They can translate it into art, and that's art that you carry with you that is a part of you. I mean, every tattoo I have represents something about my life, a belief
Hmm.
or something that's occurred. So this tattoo represents the night I was wounded. So
Wow. No, yeah, when I saw this, it looked incredible. You have a couple more sessions to go, right? It's not
I
fully
do.
done yet. Is that
No,
okay?
we'll
Got it.
it'll come all the way around. So it'll be a full sleeve
Got
by the
it.
time it's done. So I got at least two or three more sessions.
Okay, that's exciting. uh,
So
I since we're talking about this, your story of surviving that particular day, is incredibly inspiring. Can you walk us through that day? Do you remember, like, early, like, I know you talk about it often. I'm sure you had to tell the story quite a few times, but can you, for our audience, can you talk to us a little bit more about that day?
yeah, so we were at the end of our deployment in Iraq. You know, Regardless of individuals' beliefs on Iraq, there are people, who war is a terrible thing. And there are people who say, oh, well, you guys were there and disrupted. And the problem, maybe their worse is terrible, but they're also very evil people. And we witnessed many of those evil people. I saw individuals who would gladly um, harm, kill, defile women and children, and torture people. And that was part of our mission. I'll be honest. In Iraq, it was probably one of the greatest deployments I ever did because we went after mid-level and high-level people who were tied to many of these atrocious and violent things. On that night, at the very end of our deployment, we were actually targeting the number one leader for Al Qaeda in the western province of Iraq, the Anbar province, in a place that was very dangerous. We had been there many times before. A lot of the times that we had gone in there, we had gotten into gunfights. And on that night, we launched on that mission to get this Al Qaeda leader. Um, we landed on our first target, and he was not there. And that's kind of life. Sometimes you
Yeah.
think you're going to get the win, you're going to close the deal, you're going to do whatever, and it doesn't happen. I mean, it's no different in combat. And we thought it was going to be a quiet night. We thought that, we may gather a little bit of intelligence from stuff that was on the target. We did happen to find a lot of IED making equipment. We found explosives and some weapons, and we were going to blow that stuff up and then call it a night. But about 3 a.m., we our snipers were watching. They saw some bad guys come out of this building. They ran across the street and hid in some vegetation. My boss said, hey, can you take your team? Let's go walk these guys down. Let's find out who they are. And we did. And what we didn't know was that our number one leader had left the house we were in. He went to the house about 150 yards away. He had a large security detail. We estimate between 12 to 15 men. and they had set up an ambush line, and we walked right into
Mm.
that ambush. So myself and my teammates got all shot up. I was hit 8 times between my body and body armor. I took 2 rounds in the left arm, and I took a round in the face that did a lot of damage. Um, I was pinned down out front, pinned down by one of the machine guns. And thankfully, I owe my life to my teammates. We have an aircraft, the Air Force AC-130 gunship. For any of the kids out there that play Call of Duty, I'm sure they're very familiar with that aircraft. Um, but pretty amazing, and I owe my life to those guys, and I owe my life to my teammates who fought and managed to get me, pulled me back, got a tourniquet on my arm, and ended up saving me. You know, the overcome mindset played a little bit in there, because I had to focus on, tell a lot of people, I talk about in my book. It was probably the greatest fatigue I've ever felt. I wanted to go to
Mm.
sleep, and this is going to be a common thing when traumatic events happen, when people get injured. If you lose blood or there's a natural tendency, the body wants to shut down. And oftentimes that's manifested in, well, I'm just tired. I want to go to sleep. But oftentimes, if you do that, you won't wake up. And I knew
Yeah.
that. And I told myself, you got to stay awake to stay alive. No matter how tired you get, you got to drive through that. And that I contribute some of that to helping me to come home. I think there was probably a little bit of divine intervention. But above all, that enabled me to come home. So obviously, pretty severe injuries. It took 4 years and almost 40 surgeries to put me back together. But
Wow.
I don't allow it to become an excuse to not do things. I still work
Yeah.
out. I still push myself. There are certain things I can't bend my arm any further than this. I can't extend it any further than that. I still have some nerve damage, but so what? So what?
Right.
I figure out what I
Right.
can do. Certain things I can't do, but I don't care. Okay, so I can't do that, but I can do this. And I think so often in this life, people focus on, well, I can't do this, so I won't do anything. And that's
Right.
just a wrong mindset, man. Um, so that night definitely had an impact. But in my mind, it became a positive impact.
Yeah.
I turned something negative into something positive and drove forward. I mean, I wasn't able to, we talk about often having a goal that we want to accomplish. One of my goals was I wanted to continue to stay in the SEAL teams and be a SEAL.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I was able to stay, but I wasn't able to be operational. I was never able to work as a SEAL in combat or in training again. I worked administrative, I worked in the office, I did training, I worked some special projects before I finally retired from the Navy. But that's a great example of, hey, I want this. But instead, what started to happen is I figured
Mm.
out B was, wow, I'm starting to write a lot. I'm starting to create these positive messages. I'm trying to lift others up. And that drove me down a whole new road. I never once, if you had told me years ago when I was in the SEAL teams, hey man, someday you're going to be an author and a motivational
Right.
speaker, and I would have been like, what? No way. And now
Yeah.
look at me, I'm out there motivating and inspiring people across this country and even internationally.
Yeah. Well, I can sum it up in 3 words: victor, not victim. So it's incredible. And so and Jason, I know you do a lot of training with leaders, and I've watched many of your videos before, prior to this, and you were such an inspiration on so many different levels to leaders. But do you have any advice, on top of mind, that you can give to our current teenagers, high schoolers? They're facing their own unique set of issues right now. We've talked a lot about actually about the phones and instant gratification and all this thoughts around, I'm so scared that if I post something that someone's going to write one negative thing about me. Uh, any general piece of advice that you can benefit from? Every piece of advice you've given already applies to them. But if there's something right now you can tell them, what would it be?
There is a pervading idea uh, that is impacting, at least here in the United States of America. I'm not sure about abroad. Um, And the idea is that, hey, we'll all be better off if we're equal. And if you're not good at something, then we want to bring the standards down so that everybody feels better about themselves. And that's just not true. No one who was ever successful accomplished it by settling. Um, and here's the interesting thing. Every single person has something exceptional residing inside them. So you have some incredible, amazing talent. Maybe you can look at math and you can just figure it out. My son is like this. He can look at
Yeah.
math, and when he was in school, the teachers would be like, "Hey, you have to show your work." And he's like, and he was young, and he'd be like, "Well, I just know the answer." And he didn't cheat. He just knew. He just had
Yeah.
this thing with numbers. Or maybe you're an amazingly talented singer. You just have this great voice. Or maybe you're just naturally strong, or maybe you're just super creative in how you put things together. Everyone has some talent that lies within them. And what we're telling kids today is, hey, we don't want you to be exceptional because if you're exceptional, it makes this person feel bad. That's the wrong answer, man. If we do that, maybe the kid that's not exceptional in math, maybe amazingly exceptional in writing. But if we don't allow him to go or her to go down that path and figure that out, maybe they haven't uncovered their secret talent. Sometimes it takes years to figure that out. My youngest daughter, it took her a while to figure out what her talent was. She didn't start playing the guitar until she was probably 15, I think. Now she plays in the top level for
Wow.
one of our company. Man, she's doing a tour this summer. She shreds on a guitar. That became
Wow.
one of her superpowers. Everybody has superpowers. So you need to find yours. And the only way you're going to find yours is by getting out and trying stuff. And you may figure out, well, I'm not good at this. And don't allow that to become this negative mindset like, oh, I'm not good at this. So what? If you're not good at that, something inside you, everyone has some sort of exceptional talent lying within them. And sometimes it takes years to uncover it. I didn't start writing and speaking until I was in my late 30s. And
Mm.
now I'm a highly in demand speaker. I never would have known that. I didn't know that when I was in the
Yeah.
military. I wasn't doing that. So don't buy into this idea that you shouldn't be exceptional. Figure out what is your superpower and then just crush it, man. Go all in on it. Be exceptional and be proud of it.
That's 100% agreed. Everybody has a superpower, but it just takes time to identify that. It can take years, maybe if you're lucky, some weeks or months, but definitely years. So, and it's all about trying until you can find something. Vlad, I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, I would like to hear a little bit about your books, The Trident and The Overcome. Could you please give our listeners some overview about those books and what will it teach?
So the Trident is my memoir. I mean, it is, but if anything, what I tell people, the Trident is a story of failure. It's a story of redemption. It's a story of leadership, resilience, and it's a love story. A lot of people don't realize that the Trident follows the journey of when I met my wife all the way through to after I was wounded and recovered and got out of the military. Um, it wasn't intentionally designed to be a leadership book, but it has become a leadership book. A lot of people see the lessons that are in it, and it is a great story for young people to understand that, um, yeah, success doesn't happen overnight. There's no blink of an eye. And if you messed up, or if you failed, or if you have been injured, or you've had some traumatic event, whatever it is, it's never too late to recover and drive forward and figure it out. I'm living proof of that. So that is really the Trident. Overcome, the second book, became the how to. So many people read the Trident and said, well, how did you do that? Like, how did you do these things? How, you say you can choose to, drive forward out of that hospital bed, but how did you do that? And overcome became a one, um, it taught you how to be a better leader of yourself. I meet a lot of people, maybe people listening to this podcast who will say to me, I'm not a leader, but you are a leader. Unless you are still living at home and your parents are making all the decisions for you, which may be the case, but that's okay. Someday you're going to leave. And when that occurs, you are going to start making decisions. If you are making any decision for yourself, if you decide what clothes you're going to wear for that day, you are a leader. You are leading yourself. If you decide what you're going to watch on TV, you are a leader. You are making decisions for yourself. We expand that into how do we deal with adversity? How do we deal with problems? How do we set goals and then create a plan to go after those goals? That is leading yourself. 70% of leadership is leading yourself. And if you can do that successfully, especially through problems, hardship, adversity, that's when you will find success in your life. And Overcome really lays that out. I talk about things called life ambushes. I survived a vicious enemy ambush, but what I came to learn is that everybody encounters life ambushes. Maybe you failed a class, or maybe you got cut from the sports team, or maybe you broke up with your boyfriend or girlfriend. Those can be lower level life ambushes, but they're life ambushes nonetheless. We feel overwhelmed. We feel depressed. We feel stuck. We feel like, where do I go forward from here? Those are all the common characteristics of a life ambush. As we get older, they get bigger. It could be sexual trauma. It could be life-threatening illness or injury. It could be professional failure. It could be a lawsuit. It could be, the loss of a loved one. But no matter what, oftentimes our feelings are the same. Understanding yourself and your ability to lead yourself out of these things, I call it getting off the X. The X is the sticking point everybody finds. That book, Overcome, is built around that principle and how you can build things in place to be a better leader and deal with the adversity we all find in life.
Jason, what are some of your current hobbies?
I like golf, although I don't play
Golf.
enough. I wish I could play more. I really enjoy time with my family. Skiing is probably my favorite thing to do. So I love to ski, and I just
Where do you ski?
so we ski often in Snowshoe, West Virginia. I'm on the East Coast, although I love West Coast skiing. My favorite place to ski is Vail, Colorado. The back bowls of Vail, for anybody who's been out there, are amazing. I mean, you can get lost in the back bowls of Vail all day long. And I like Montana has got amazing skiing. Utah has amazing skiing. So that's one of my favorite things to do. I got pretty amazing this year. You start as you grow and believe in yourself, new opportunities come along. And this year, I got to ski with Bodie Miller, who was probably one of the best skiers in the world, multiple gold medalists. And Bodie showed me that I know nothing about skiing. Yeah, but it was fun.
Jason, thank you so much for sharing that. I want to ask you one last question. Looking back at your incredible life and career, who has been one of the strongest or most inspiring person in your lives, and what lessons have you learned from them?
Definitely a leader that I write a lot about, both in my first book and in Overcome, and a leader by who I named Vince Peterson. It's not his real name, but he was a SEAL leader, probably one of the best leaders I ever saw. A lot of the principles that I teach on are based on how he led, and he was an individual who was just he was incredibly well educated, very well read. Yet still a consummate warrior, and he went through a lot of hardship in his life. He lost his leg years before it became more common for our warriors to lose their leg and survive. Yet he did not let it stop him. He continued to serve and operate as a SEAL.
Wow.
He never was not out at physical training, even though he was missing a leg. He had a run leg, he had a swim leg. And I think it truly was the epitome of the lead yourself. Hey, I'm not going to allow this to be an excuse. And I often, he also had the unique ability to motivate and inspire people to get things done. And he would do it without saying, hey, go do this. He would do it by planting the seeds in their mind, like, hey, what do you think about
Mm,
this? And they would say, man, that's a great idea. I could do that. And they would take it and they would run with it. And he would give them all the credit if it went right and they were successful. And if it went wrong, he would take the blame. He would be like,
wow.
that didn't work out. I'm sure I was the one that was my fault because I didn't do this. I mean, just a tremendous leader. He created just great loyalty, and you just wanted to be on his team because he made you better. And so I write a lot about him and the way he led. I, uh, I don't know if he just naturally had all those abilities or if they were cultivated. I tell people all the time that some people naturally have some leadership abilities, but no matter what, any leader has to learn how to lead. Anybody can be a leader. They're learned traits, but regardless, his combination of learning and what he had naturally made him one of the best leaders I ever saw.
Wow, Jason, thank you so much for sharing that story. He sounds like an incredible leader. You are also an incredible leader. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today. It's much appreciated. Thank you so much for your service. Your message of resilience, leadership, and overcoming adversity is truly inspiring. To our listeners, please, we heavily encourage you to check out Jason's books, Overcome and the Trident. You can follow him also on social media, which is Jason Redman WW. That's JASONREDMANWW to stay updated on his latest projects and initiatives. And Jason, very quickly, whether it's thought leaders out there or district principals who are looking for speakers to come on, where can they find more information about you? Is it a website? Is it Instagram? What's the best form of communication here?
Yeah, my website, jasonredman.com. We have a lot of the different stuff on there, although probably Instagram is the platform I'm heaviest on. I do put out videos every week. My Monday muster is just motivational content every Monday that I put out. And I try to put out nothing but positivity. You will not see me, going down in the negative realm of blame and pointing fingers. I don't believe in it. I believe leaders focus on themselves and they focus on action. And that is what my message is about.
Jason, thank you so much for your time
Thank
here
you.
today.
Yeah. Thanks, fellas.